Sorry? Hi, good morning. Hair ties up here. There were none in the bathroom. Is there some up here? They're usually in the bathrooms, but wait. No, I'm good. We're good. No, I mean, they're like bobby pins and tampons. It's like they're meant to be shared. If you're just coming in, do make sure to have, in addition to your 2 blocks and a blanket, a strap and massage balls. That's found up here. Happy Maha Shivaratri, the festival that honors and commemorates our great Lord of Yoga, Shiva. That happened yesterday, actually, technically. I was sitting in teacher training and teaching about Shiva and Shakti, and it crossed my mind at the very end. It was now about the time of year for Shivaratri. I should look up when it is. Yesterday, and it was during the final Shavasana of teacher training yesterday. I looked up and I'm oh, that's today. So there's somewhere in me that knows, and the festival is a celebration of the relationship between Shiva and Shakti, the relationship between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, and their marriage, their union. And this is almost like the way in which we recognize and honor this relationship is kind of a revolution in the yoga tradition, because it takes Shiva as this sort of ascetic lord of yoga, original yogi, solo, lone dude on the mountaintop or in the cave, he hangs out on the mountaintops, in the caves, on the cremation grounds, into more of the version we see of him as dancer, teacher, householder. And my most favorite Murti, maybe some folks have seen it in the room. It's a much more rare picture of Shiva in the West, but the goal is if anyone's going to India, let me know, because you can get this in India, and we really want it at the studio, the Soma Skanda, which is the image of Shiva and his family portrait. It's Shiva, Parvati, Ganesha, and Skanda, the little babies there too. And this idea that there are many traditions of yoga that seek to attain freedom, liberation, enlightenment. In our practice of yoga, we see those as kind of valuable attainments, worthy attainments, but what's more? And in our tradition, we go the intimacy, that intimacy is the invitation to true greatness. And intimacy doesn't just have to be the romantic kind of intimacy, although it's fun. I'm not really that romantic of a person, but that's good intimacy. But it's intimacy in all of our relationships, self-intimacy, intimacy with each other, intimacy with the world and our communities, our work, that every relationship is an opportunity and an invitation to intimacy. And that when you walk into the yoga studio, Shiva does this dance. It looks like a snapshot, but the story that it tells is actually of an ecstatic dance. He's moving, it's dynamic, it's wild, he's possessed, he's entranced, he's in ecstasy, and he dances for her because of her. Move forward, come up, yeah, move forward. Oh yeah, let's reorganize. So this row so Eric, you're great. Let's have Becky And Johnny, move up in line with Eric. Some more folks coming in. We'll make space for all of us to dance today. Oh, and I just thought of a great metaphor at that regard. In that regard. So in their intimacy, they are each other's beloveds. He stands for absolute potential, absolute power, absolute potential, and she stands for creative power and potential. And so she wants to reflect to him his infinite potential, and the way she provides that reflection is by manifesting in and as all that is. And so we get this idea that, this premise that we are her expression so that she can reflect to him himself. Because that's what you get in intimacy, you get reflection. Like I used to have this idea in my, after the first few heartbreaks, that I had to be like grounded and stable in myself before I could enter into relationship. Anyone? And then what happens when you enter into a relationship? You get it's been a long time since I've fallen in love, but I have the memory of it. It's very destabilizing, right? Shakes you. So so we get that story, and she catches his eye, and it that's a wrap. The drama unfolds, and that's how all of us come into being. If you're just coming in or you came in a little bit late, we do want 2 massage balls and a strap today in addition to blocks and blanket. So her reflection to him of himself arouses him, excites him, invokes him to do the dance. So when you see this image of Shiva in a yoga studio, it's called Shiva Nataraj, the Lord of the Cosmic Dance. He's dancing out of elation from her reflection. She sees him and wants to reflect to him himself as us. He sees her and it makes him dance. And there's a pose in our yoga pantheon of poses called Natarajasana. And it's all things all at once and very destabilizing. But when you can when you get the moment of stability, there is this sort of potential to directly access this. I'll call it a hit kind of. That probably comes from my 90s drug days. There's a moment where you can directly embody the experience of the bliss of consciousness that can only expand in the barely stable place. Because expansion means to move. So if something's stable, it's not expanding. Does that make sense? But it needs just enough stability to expand. So we're going to play with Natarajasana today. Spoiler alert. Sometimes you like to know where we're going, right? Any other requests? Okay. Shavasana. You want to go back to the cremation ground and hang out with Shiva in the cremation. Yeah. So, Om Namah Shivaya, let's take a comfortable seat. And so the 5 sort of acts of Shiva, the way that the power, I'll say his power, their power, shows up in us, so that we know that we are, in fact, made of power, made of universal energy, is in these 5 acts. The Namah Shivaya is the mantra that informs us and reminds us of the 5 acts of them that are present in us, which is to create, sustain, dissolve, conceal, and reveal. The entire physical practice of yoga is in service to the breath. Shakti becomes the breath in order to pour life into all that is, and particularly in order to pour life into you, so that she can conceal herself in you in order to reveal herself as you to her beloved. We are the reflection of the divine. The divine is within us, runs through us, and as us. This is the time we take to align ourselves and engage ourselves and stretch ourselves through aligned engagement in order to really create like an optimal vessel, so that not only can she flow in us, as us, through us more fully, more deeply, more freely, but also so that we have the opportunity to directly experience ourselves as divine, so that we have an opportunity to see each other as divine, and so that this energy can flow from us and all in between us with much greater harmony, more fully, more deeply, more freely. As you deepen your breath, feel how naturally your breath deepens you. Notice where you are and how you are. And in a gesture of really sweet self-intimacy, allow yourself a moment to notice if there's anything in particular that you need or want from your practice today. And then create an opening, a receptivity to whatever it is your practice has to offer to you today. And therein lies that potential for intimacy with the breath. An opening, a receptivity. Allow yourself to feel, to embody, to experience 3 of the deepest, fullest breaths that require really the least amount of effort. And on your next inhalation, we bring the hands together before the heart in Anjali Mudra. Om Namah Shivaya. Salutations to the Lord Shiva, whose presence is never further than our own hearts. Always present, intrinsically peaceful and utterly powerful and luminous, we acknowledge this aspect of ourselves and place it before us as a guide for at least the time we spend together. And together we'll set the tone for our practice today by sharing the voices of our hearts and the sound of an Om. Deep breath in. Bow to your heart, keeping that connection inward unwavering. Release the hands, blink open the eyes, and let's come onto all fours to start in a tabletop position. If you're new or newish here, new to me, welcome. My name's Mariel. Just a couple really quick rules. Everything I offer to you is just that, an offering, an invitation, not an obligation. So feel not only free, but also really encouraged and empowered to take it or leave it, to seek to know and to do what is appropriate for you, knowing that what's appropriate for you really changes all the time. And so this is the invitation to tune into yourself and listen, to receive insight, to move in the direction of appropriateness for you. Begin by linking breath and movement. Exhale to round your back, inhale to arch. We call that cat-cow stretches. Really an opportunity to start to dial the breath consciously into the fabric of the body in order to notice what you feel, how it feels, and where you feel it. What do you feel? How does it feel? Where do you feel it? The gift of embodiment is truly that, a gift. This is how the divine adorns herself in the gift of your embodiment. She gets dressed for her beloved and authenticates herself in order for him to be more reflective. Because like, anyone ever been in a relationship with someone who wasn't reflective? Yikes. Thanks, Shakti. We'll meet in Downward Facing Dog for providing this reflection. Because like, before her, there's no reflection. Or like, ever wonder, like we know, like if you've done the inquiry or the self-inquiry, how like different people that we've loved throughout our lives, again, like romantic or aromantic, but the people who have like changed us, right? We've been changed by, for better or for worse, and for the record, it's usually both. Ever wonder like how we changed them? And here's an interesting thing that consciousness does, because like the celebration of Shivaratri is really this way in which we are reminded to remember that reality, as each one of us knows it, is the playground of divine consciousness. Like a lot of times, because of the weight of the world we live in, reality seems kind of like a battlefield. Anyone? Not to project. But that, like, truly, when we look through the lens of eternity, not to bypass, but to simply remember that sometimes we have to forget enough to remember that this is the playground of divine consciousnness doing its drama. We're going to step the right leg through to lunge, get there in the style of you. On an inhale, reach the arms up. Pretty sure I lost my point in there somewhere. I was going somewhere, but got lost. Every single pose is an offering to the breath, so that the breath can inform and illuminate and inspire the form. That's the point of our strange, peculiar physical practice of yoga. It's a strategy that allows us not only to access, but to directly experience the divine energy that fills us, surrounds us, connects us. So like, feel what you feel, notice what you notice, and now link breath and action. This is the feature of our yoga. As you inhale, pull the feet towards each other. Feel the legs engage from the ground up into the center. And when you do that, can you reach up even higher? Feel the center expand past your fingertips. Keep that as you bend the front leg deeper. Touch the floor on an exhale, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. The breath ignites the heart. She ignites him. He is in your heart. She is the breath. The breath ignites the heart, and the splendor of the heart informs, illuminates, and inspires the gift of embodiment, the vehicle of self-reflective awareness. In the style of you, we're going to meet with the left leg and lunge. On an inhale, reach up, stretch up. Notice what you feel what you notice, the form, the breath, the earth. And then we start to really integrate, to allow these energetic elements to reunite. And as you inhale, pull the feet towards each other, and you draw energy from the earth up the legs into the core. And doesn't that feel like stabilizing? When you pull the feet towards each other, it stabilizes. And on that stability, reach up out of the depths of your being, like you could touch the sky, like you could hold on to the ceiling. And as you reach up, let the top of the front thigh descend. On an exhale, plant the hands, downward facing dog. Notice what you feel what you notice. On an inhale, we'll bring it to plank. Exhale, lower in the style of you towards the lap of the earth. On the inhale, slide the heart forward and up, cobra. Flick the toenails down and claw your fingertips towards your feet and sway a little bit from side to side. It's called Nagami Madasana, intoxicated cobra, like the serpents that Shiva wears. On an exhale, downward facing dog. On an inhale, we're going to float the right leg to the sky. Exhale, step it through to lunge. Inhale, reach forward and up. And on the exhale, big step forward, balance on your right foot. So I don't know if you can see it at home, but Google it later. And if you're in studio, if you look at the Shiva statue, you'll see that he's standing on one leg. He's balancing on this character in the story called Apasmara, who has the body of a baby and the head of a demon. He's a demonic character, which doesn't mean that he's intrinsically malicious or evil. The demon just means that they're in the service of their own self-interest, much like babies and children, and also a lot of adults. Step back to lunge. Big breath in. Exhale, plant the hands. Downward facing dog. So he's balancing, he's standing balancing on this creature beneath him. And if you look, which we'll do in a moment, left foot through to lunge. Inhale, reach up. The creature isn't being crushed. The creature isn't dead. Big step forward. The creature is actually what supports the dance. Like your yoga mat supports your practice, right? The demon is Apasmara. A lot of times he's identified as ignorance. And in many classical yogas, it's that like Shiva is keeping ignorance under control. Shiva's dancing. Shiva's ecstatic. Step it back to lunge. In our tradition, ignorance means forgetfulness. They're one and the same. Plant the hands, downward dog. And it means to say, inhale for plank. Exhale, following the currents of your breath towards the lap of the earth. Inhale through the heart. Follow your breath, not my voice. Maybe extra breath or two in here. And the exhale will meet in downward facing dog. On the inhale, float the right leg to the sky. Exhale, catch the lunge. Inhale, reach forward and up. Exhale, big step forward to balance on the right leg. Cross the ankle over the thigh and sit deep into chair pose. So it's this idea that in order to be in a state of bliss, in the state of ecstasy, all else must be forgotten. All else is ignored, inherently ignored in that state of bliss. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, step it back to lunge. Big breath in. Exhale, plant the hands, downward dog. And it's why we don't spend, he doesn't spend the whole story in the dance. The dance is just an aspect of the story. Does that make sense? In other words, we don't want to be in a perpetual state of bliss. That would be weird. Or bliss would be like, it wouldn't have value or meaning anymore, right? But that we want to have hits of bliss because that's the delight, that's one of the possibilities of consciousness delighting in the gift of life in us. But that in order to be in a state of bliss, all else in those moments is ignored and forgotten. That ignorance is not something that needs to be overcome, that it's as important a feature as anything else. That could be a hard pill to swallow, I realize. Left foot through to lunge. Reach up, stretch up. Take a big step forward. Cross ankle over thigh. Sit deep into chair pose. It also doesn't mean that, just as sustained bliss wouldn't be necessarily a good thing, sustained ignorance is also not a good thing, right? Only to the extent it supports its complement. Breathe into what can't be seen but can be felt. Like, aren't you glad, like if you have low back pain all the time, it's hard to forget how tight it is in here. But if you don't, aren't you glad that you don't have to remember how tight it is in here all day, every day? Inhale, rise up. Exhale, step it back to lunge, but it's also so good to remember and to feed it and to nurture it. Downward dog. Linking breath and movement. Big inhale to plank. Big exhale through Chaturanga Dandasana or Chaturanga bypass. Inhale for cobra, maybe a little sway at the top. And on an exhalation, we'll meet in downward dog. The inhale floats the right leg up to the sky. Exhale, we meet in lunge. This time we're going to pivot the feet to the left for a wide-legged forward fold. Bow to your heart, the presence of the heart, the indwelling light. Find the unconditional support of the earth and pull the feet towards each other. Put a little bend in your legs and lean into the balls of your feet more. Try not to grip your toes. Just feel the weight sort of shift forward. Fingertips to the floor or blocks. And without gripping your toes, hug the feet to the midline. Press your weight into the balls of the feet. And now, rather than pressing the knees back, press your thigh bones back. And then feel if the spine extends a little bit more. For those of you who are like really flexible, if you anchor your sitting bones towards the floor, you'll feel the frontal hip bones lift away from the thighs, and that will allow more traction in the spine, through which the Kundalini can move and can flow through its central channel. Turn the right knee and toes through lunge, downward dog. Allow yourself a moment here to notice and to occupy any newfound space through which the light of awareness flows in and on the currents of the breath, in you as you through you, more deeply, more fully, more freely. Left foot through to lunge, pivot to the right, wide-legged forward fold. This time go for the strap, behind the back, between the hands, behind the hips. Same action in the legs, so a little bend in the knees, lean into the balls of the feet, try not to grip the toes. And as you pull the feet towards each other to engage the legs, press your thigh bones back. Now draw the shoulder blades back. Have the shoulder blades pulled together in the uppermost part of the back. And keeping that as you inhale, reach your arms to the sky to lift the heart forward and up. And as you exhale, fold, let the arms get heavy overhead. As you pull the feet towards each other, try to pull the hands apart. Micro bend the knees, micro bend the elbows, press the thigh bones back, press the forearms down. That's really nerdy. I'm going to say it again. Bend the knees, bend the elbows, pull the feet towards each other, hug the shoulder blades together. Keep all of that, press your thigh bones back, press your forearms down. On an exhale, release. Left knee and toes through lunge. Downward facing dog. Notice what you feel what you notice. Inhale to plank. In the service to anyone new in the room who hasn't been introduced to Chaturanga bypass, I'm just going to break that down a couple of times. From plank pose, lower your knees down. Shrug your shoulders to your ears. Bend the elbows, the bare minimum, to bring your hips towards the floor, towards the palms, so you land right in cobra. No taxation on the shoulders or rotator cuff. Press the tops of the feet down so much the knees lift, and claw the fingertips towards the feet. So the belly doesn't really touch the floor. That's also great for folks who are prenatal. Downward facing dog. We're going to do it again, and it's great for protecting the shoulders, particularly in the aftermath of ache, pain, or injury. Inhale for plank, lower the knees, shrug the shoulders. We're moving forward and down towards the earth, but the key is bend the elbows, only the bare minimum it takes you to bring the hips towards the floor. Pull the hands to the feet, press the feet down so the knees lift. Offer it to the breath, and the exhale takes us back to downward dog. Right leg through to lunge. Lower the back knee down, and we'll bring both hands to blocks inside the front foot. Pad the back knee as needed. Bend the back leg, left hand for left foot. Try not to be right on your kneecap. If you walk the back knee back and pull it forward, you're going to catch the skin right above the knee. So your weight is more on the base of the thigh than right on the knee. And take the tendency is for the top of the thigh to kind of drop down to the ground. Take the top of the back thigh to the back heel. If you want more, big if you want more, come more upright. Draw the shoulders back. And as the top of the left thigh moves towards the left heel, keep that. The top of the right thigh descends to the right heel. Gently release. Downward dog. Notice what you notice, feel what you feel. In a breath or two, we'll meet with the left foot in lunge. Back knee to the earth, patting as needed. Less on the kneecap and more take the weight to the base of the thigh. You gotta walk the back knee back and pull forward, and then pressing on the base of the thigh, bend the back leg. Right hand for right foot. If it's hard to reach, sorry, I totally should have offered this on the first side. I'll show it this way so you can see it better. If it's hard to reach, I realize I have long arms, you just walk your hands, your blocks, over to the side to shorten the distance between hand and foot. And then the extent you can keep that, you can walk yourself back inside the front foot or not, okay? And then once you bind yourself to yourself, then you can engage yourself through alignment to create a deeper opening. Top of the back thigh goes back, top of the front thigh descends. Belly breath, wherever you are, however you are, whatever the form is divine. Let it be informed, illuminated, and inspired by the breath. That's the yoga. Gently release, downward facing dog. Uh-oh, here we go. This is how I know we gotta get warm. Right leg through to pigeon prep. Get more weight on the outer edge of the back knee. Bring your block in front of you on its widest setting. If you're broader across the shoulders or there's a shoulder injury, you could go block and a half. Alternatively, that's going to give you more space. You're going to hold the block between the palms, hug the elbows in, and press the elbows out. So you catch the skin right outside the elbows. Shrug the shoulders towards the ears, lift the back knee, lift the back thigh, big breath in, squeeze the block, and on an exhale, right foot meets the left foot. Forearm plank. Look to the block, lift the thighs, shrug the shoulders. I know that's weird. Lift the thighs, shrug the shoulders. Squeeze the block. And right between the shoulder blades, move the upper back towards the earth so that the arm bones plug into the shoulder sockets. Pivot your heels to the right. Wrap the left hip towards the floor, like you're trying to lift the right hip up and back. Squeeze the block. Inhale the heels through center. Exhale the heels to the left, one foot in front of the other or feet stacked. Squeeze the block, wrap your right hip towards the floor, lift your left hip towards the sky. Whew. Squeeze the block, shrug the shoulders, Twist the hips from right to left. Inhale the legs through center. Walk the feet forward, walk it in, walk it in. Squeeze the block, walk the feet back. Squeeze the block, walk the feet back. One more time, walk the feet forward. Walk it in, squeeze the block. Exhale, walk it back about halfway. Lower your knees to the floor. Hands to the top corners of the mat, downward facing dog. Do we get warmer? That Beyonce heat. Left side through to pigeon prep. So it's this idea like, I think we love, well, I project all the time, stop projecting. But if you love pigeon pose, not to say that everyone loves pigeon pose, I think part of the reason why is like we refer to it inaccurately, but whatever, as a hip opener in yoga. And when we open the hips, what we're getting is a direct entry and access to our deepest core power. It's called Kundalini Shakti. It's the serpent power. We wear ours on the inside because Shakti, the Kundalini, conceals herself in us. Shiva wears his, you see it, on the outside. He's adorned in serpent energy. We're informed by serpent energy. Squeeze the block. Shrug the shoulders. Lift the back knee. Shrug the shoulders, squeeze the block. Left foot meets the right foot. Pivot the heels to the left. Twist your hips to the right. Squeeze the block. Inhale the legs to center. Pivot the heels to the right. Twist your hips to the left. Can you feel that? Squeeze the block. So we're trying to keep the hips and shoulders more square. Inhale to center. Exhale, heels to the left. Squeeze the block. Belly breathing. Inhale to center. Exhale, heels to the right. Inhale, heels to center. Exhale, heels to the left. Inhale, heels to center. Exhale, heels to the right. One more time to each side. We'll meet in the center and walk it forward. And as you walk it forward, squeeze the block. Come onto your tippiest of tippy toes. Squeeze the block, push your forearms down, and press your upper back towards your thighs, and press your thigh bones to the sky, and now ground your heels towards the floor. Whew. And walk it back a little bit. Lower the knees, child's pose, or any variation thereof that feels restful. Enjoy the breath, the spanda, the scintillation, the vibration of energy that reverberates in us, as us, through us, and all around us. We'll meet in tabletop position. Let's take the right side through to pigeon prep. Walk the back knee back. Bring the block on its highest height in front of you now. Pull the knees towards each other. And it's a very similar action of twisting in the hips. The hips are twisting from left to right. So the left hip's wrapping forward and the right hip crease is tacking back. And we're just twisting the hips enough to square the hips to the front of the mat. And then bending the back leg, left hand for left foot. You can go to the outer edge of the foot or top of the foot. Talking yesterday a little bit about flipping the grip, so you can go to the inner edge of the foot and then spin the fingers in the same direction as the toes. Again, it's not about form. It's all about action. Aligning the self in ways that allow us to optimize and maximize our capacity for the gift of life, our awareness of the gift of life, and our connection to the gift of life, meaning the breath. Fills us, surrounds us, connects us. Gently release through downward dog. To the other side. Left side in pigeon. Block high in front of you. Pull the knees towards each other. And now from right to left. Right hip forward, left hip crease back. Bend the back leg for the thigh stretch. You can hold the outer edge of the foot, the top of the foot. Maybe flip the grip, meaning palm turns up inside the foot, and then you spin your fingers forward. And enjoy the breath. Gently release. Downward facing dog. Inhale to plank. Exhale all the way to your belly. Bend the legs. Find the outer edges of your feet. Hug the knees together. Flex the feet, spread the toes, draw the shoulders up and back. Big breath in as you exhale, kick your feet back. As you inhale, hug the knees together. As you exhale, kick your feet or legs back into your hands. One more time. Inhale, hug the knees in. Exhale, kick the feet back. Exhale to your belly. Make a pillow with your hands and turn your head to one side. Turn your head to the other side. Okay, place the hands and sit back on your heels. We're going to take the blanket the way it comes off the stack and fold it in half. And I always like to remind folks that nothing ever in yoga is really like one size fits all. If you're getting up to get props, do make sure you have massage balls, a strap, and a blanket. And if we're short on straps, I can message the desk and ask them to bring up more stuff. So now, we have our Shiva adorned, but Shiva often just wears like a little tiger cloth. This is going to be our tiger cloth. So we basically want it at the area of like the hip points and pubic bone, but for some of us, we're going to want it like, some of us are going to want a low-waisted version, some of us are going to want a high-waisted version, and that's what I mean by it's not one size fits all. So I just want to be demonstrative. You want to place it in a way that when you come to rest on it, you feel like it's tipping your pubic bone towards the floor. So kind of one of the things that happens, and we just did a pose called Dhanurasana, bow pose, is we kind of get stuck more towards our chest, and it's harder to get the weight back into the legs. But the key to like, I was going to say real back bends, that's not a fair statement. The key to like safe, sustainable, deep back bends that are going to allow you to sort of like progress in your back bends is the legs. The key to back bends is in the legs. So we're using this as a little bit of support to kind of tilt us towards the legs. Does that make sense? So it's your tiger cloth, and you're either, depending on your body, you're going to want a low waist or a high waist. I grew up in the 90s, and I'm all about the high waist. Do not bring the low waist back, please. Look what it did to Brittany. She's not doing okay? Oh, so she's okay. So that's not... Brittany. Okay, so bend the legs. And when you do this now, like, do you feel like a little bit more weighty in your knees? More in your legs, more in your mat? And like, when we think about this demon, apasmara, the demon of ignorance or forgetfulness, isn't that very much the point of our yoga mat is like, we come here for a moment to sort of check our obligations safely at the door and tap in and replug into something deeper in the hopes that then like when Shiva goes back into his domestic life, there's like the memory of the bliss that informs and inspires how he shows up domestically, unless or until it doesn't, and then he's like told to go back to the forest. Like, get the fuck out of here. It's called fishing in my house. Bend the legs, reach back for your ankles, and like adjust as needed. Again, this is just to support you in feeling like when you reach for the ankles, you're not like, ugh, like gagging on it. You can press more through the legs, okay? And then as you inhale, lift up a little bit on the breath, and as you exhale, kick the feet back. And as you inhale, hug the knees towards each other. Exhale, kick the feet back. Inhale, hug the knees towards each other. Exhale, kick the feet back. And release. Did that feel different? It should help. If not, it's just like, it just needs, the placement of the blanket needs adjustment. Yeah. Forward. I feel like if I'm tipping forward for me, I have to take my blanket lower towards my pubic bone and thigh bones. But again, it's not one size fits all. But it should feel like it helps a lot. Right? Like don't be like, in other words, if it doesn't feel like a vast improvement, don't ignore it. Right? Like that's okay, now put the ignorance aside, pay attention, make it better, and then get the bliss. So this idea, like in our traditions, like everything has its place when it's well aligned. Ignorance well aligned is divine. Ignorance misaligned, as we know it is so much in our culture, is effed up. Sorry, I'm just remembering we have youth in the room today. I hope you're allowed to see R-rated films, and I'm not like, I'm just kidding. It's all good. Okay. Okay, put the blanket to the side and find your balls, your massage balls. We're just going to take one for today. And again, if you, I should have mentioned this sooner, if you're like pretty well into the land of like first trimester and pregnancy, I'm so sorry I didn't mention this, we don't want to do stuff on our bellies. The alternative would be to be doing like a shoulder stretch in Vajrasana or Ustrasana, the same form, just non-weight bearing on the belly. And again, like no harm to the baby, it's just not like in the best service to the body of the pregnant person, folks at home. So whenever you see us on the belly, you're going to want to find a non-belly form, similar form, different angle of vision. For the pregnant folks who are not going to be weight bearing on their belly, instead of rolling, we're going to do the quads right now. You can lay on your back and do this area, the swagger version that we did the other day in class if you were here. Or you could do this area, rolling up and down the traps. Or this area, the center back of the skull. We're all going to get to do that later. And the rest of us are going to meet on our bellies and place a ball at the base of your right thigh. Ball at the base of the right thigh. Bend the leg and straighten the leg. Bend and straighten at your own pace. We're on the right thigh, yeah? Okay. You can micro adjust. So if it's too intense, micro adjust the placement of the ball to make it breathable. That's the key. It should be intense but breathable. And if it's too intense, it's not breathable, and then we're not doing yoga. Find a place between bent and straight that feels tolerable for you. And take the knee to the right. Let the foot fall to the left. That's your inseam. And now slowly we're going to take the knee to the midline and let the foot fall to the right. That's your outseam. And we're going to roll back and forth slowly a few times from inseam to outseam. Whew, anyone? Yeah. And then like wonder why you might ever feel stuck in a back bend. Did you know all that was there? And isn't it like, thank gosh, we can ignore that most of the time? Scoot yourself backwards so that the ball rolls up to the middle thigh. And then bend and straighten the leg there slowly. Should be breathable. It might not be like delightful, but it should be breathable. The breath can be as deep and as full, and it may require more effort for a deeper, fuller breath in the face of intensity or discomfort. That translates in our lives. The place between bent and straight that feels tolerable, and then knee wide, foot to the midline, inseam, knee to the midline, foot wide, outseam. Back and forth slowly from inseam to outseam across mid-thigh. This area is called the quadriceps. There's 4 muscles at the front of the thigh that tend to be tight and weak. Tight and weak. That's what we're feeling. Fun fact, some humans have 5 quadriceps muscles. You might not know that until autopsy time, though. Gently release, if even then. Oy. Come back to the middle, neutral, scooch it back, roll it up. Going a little higher up the thigh. Let the knee sort of drop towards the earth. Yeah, adjust. Cry out. Press the top of the foot down so much the knee and thigh lifts. Then let the knee release to the floor. Press the top of the foot down so much the knee and thigh lifts, and then let it release to the floor. And then find a place between bent and straight. And it's more subtle at the top of the thigh probably, kind of rolling towards the inseam, towards the outseam. Kind of just like the thigh bone or the muscle in the middle, like a speed cushion. Anyone seen those speed cushions on 5th Street? They're not speed bumps, they're speed cushions. And I speed over them because they're really easy to speed over. It happens to be very fun in a Tesla. Okay, come back to center. And now feel remove the ball, make a pillow with your hands. Can you feel the difference from side to side? And here's the deal. If not, bend the legs, bind yourself to your ankles or feet, hug the knees to the midline, and just kick the feet back. And there do you feel a difference, like not only in the thighs, but through like one whole side of the body compared to the other. Yeah? Gently release. We'll start at the base of the left thigh. If you scoot yourself back forward, or else you're going to end up on your back neighbor's mat. Depending on your back neighbor, they may or may not like that. Bend it, so somewhere at the base of the left thigh, bend and straighten slowly at your own pace. And one of the things to look out for here is the difference, if any, from side to side, or the difference, if any, from from bottom, middle to top. In other words, the gesture of self-intimacy is the inquiry into what lives where inside of you. A gesture of noticing and receiving the stuff that is the most often overlooked. That's how we engage with ignorance and forgetfulness. What here is being overlooked? Find a place between bent and straight, and take the knee wide, foot to the midline. Holy smokes. Knee to the midline, foot wide. Back and forth at your own pace, enjoying, it's a bumpy ride. Speed cushions. It'll let it slow you down. Take it in. Slow it down. Take it in. There's more here than we ordinarily realize. And by the way, that feature of ignorance and forgetfulness is a good thing, because it wouldn't be good for us in our relationships and lives if we had to worry about this all the time. Come back to the middle, scooch it backwards. We go to the middle thigh. Scooch it back, the ball rolls up, bend and straighten slowly at your own pace. Again, it should be breathable. It shouldn't diminish the breath. We should be able to consciously breathe deeply and fully in the face of whatever it is we're facing. The place between bent and straight that feels appropriate for you, and then knee wide, foot to the midline, inseam, knee to the midline, foot wide, outseam. Back and forth, slowly at your own pace. More or less speed cushions here. Knots. Is it knotty? And we comb it, and it's knotty again tomorrow. It's called the dust bunny law of the universe. If you've ever had a kid with curly hair, you know what I'm talking about. Come back to the middle, scooch it back, go more to the top of the thigh. Have we not had a ball go flying across the room yet? That's rare in the size of a group. Like, a lot of times it'll be so tight that your thigh will somehow spit it out. Top of the thigh, notice what you notice. Differences from side to side, differences from bottom to top. Breathe. I like this version at the top of the thigh where the leg is straight and you press the top of the foot down like a cobra leg or a up dog leg, and then release the knee to the floor. And then press the foot down, lift the knee up, and then release the knee. Whew. Okay, we good? You guys okay? Okay, put that to the side. Bring the hands outside the chest, about as wide as the mat. Index fingers about as wide as the mat. Index fingers sort of pointing towards the outer edges of the mat. Thumbs in line with the base of the sternum. That's that breastbone. Draw the shoulders up and back. Press the hands down. Press the inner edges of the hands down and in and back. Slide the heart forward and up. Press the inner edges of the hands down, in and back. Slide the heart forward and up. Collarbones are up and back. Start to press the palate back. You'll really feel a lot of connection to the upper back, the back of the heart. And as you press the inner edges of the hands down, in and back, and press the back of the skull back, bend your legs. Spread your toes, press the knees down and in. Press the knees down and in, pull the hands back. Think toes to head, head to toes. Rajakapotasana. Exhale, lower down. It's my least favorite pose. Downward dog. Downward dog. The things we do for the beloved, in other words. Pedal the feet from side to side. Right leg through to lunge. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, step forward. Balance on your right foot. And balance doesn't mean static, it's dynamic in that standing foot. In other words, the standing foot has to be receptive to the instability in order to create stability. If you fight the instability, you come right out. If you receive the instability, you get the experience of stability. Left hand finds the left foot. Take the left shoulder up and back. Hug the left knee to the midline. Hug the left knee to the midline. And here's the key. Press the left knee forward as you kick the left foot back. That's a dynamic tension of opposites. The knee hugs in and forward as the foot kicks back. You can hinge halfway forward. Let's make sure that the standing leg isn't locked. We want to feel the weight in the ball of the standing foot. And as you inhale, hug the knee to the midline. As you exhale, kick the foot back. Inhale, hug the knee in. Exhale, kick the foot back. It's meant to destabilize you. Big step back to lunge, both feet on the ground. Big breath in. Exhale, plant the hands. Downward facing dog. Pivot your heels to the right. Open the left arm to the sky. Step the left foot back, left foot on the floor, left hand to the heart. Push through the feet and legs and think head towards the left foot. Exhale, downward dog. Find your breath on an exhale, left foot through to lunge. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, big step forward. And then the cool thing, like if we really surrender to instability, what we find is gravity. Gravity not only supports us and upholds us, but it will also, in fact, catch us. Like you're never gonna fall and gravity's not gonna be there. There's so few things in life that are certain. That's one of them. And that has a stabilizing effect. Thigh stretch. Shoulder up and back. The key is to hug the knee in and forward as you kick the foot back. That creates an integration of stability. Hinge halfway forward. Hug the back knee in as you kick the back foot back. Baby dancer. Bala Natarajasana. Hug the knee in as you kick the foot back. Hug the knee in as you kick the foot back. Big step back. Big breath in. Exhale, plant the hands, downward dog. Push through the arms, push through the hands to launch up through the hips. Pivot the heels to the left. Right arm to the sky, right foot steps back. Right hand to right heart. Push through your legs, look towards the floor. Look for your back foot. Downward dog. Right foot through to lunge. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, step forward. Balancing on the standing leg. Make sure the standing leg isn't locked. Ankle over thigh. Sit deep into chair pose, pigeon chair. Turn the right palm forward. Take the left arm across the heart. Stand up. Left hand finds the left foot in behind you. Now, remember the hips thing. So the thing that is going to most stabilize you is your connection to your own power. This is that squaring of the hips. As you press the knee forward and kick the foot back, think twist your hips a little from left to right as you hinge. In other words, left hip towards the right foot, right outer hip crease towards the back foot. Big step back, both feet on the ground, huge breath in. Exhale, plant the hands, downward facing dog. Breath to heart, heart to mind, mind to body. Pivot heels to the right, open the left arm to the sky. Step your left foot behind you, left hand to the heart. Option to parallel the feet, press the inner edge of the bottom hand down, lift the hips up, and bring the left hand towards the left thigh. Maybe the knee, maybe left hand for left foot. You'd have to step the left foot in. Exhale, downward dog. Did I lose anyone? Lost in the dark, lower the knees down. Yeah. Okay. So it's just taking the same form into different angles of vision. And we did that little like Shiva thing. And this is him showing, it's not really the best time for this, but the different powerful acts that Shiva does in us, as us, through us. But this is like one of my favorite parts, the concealment and revelation. How the arm comes across the heart points to the act of concealment, and it points to the graceful upturned foot, which is revelation. And the cool thing when you see the image is that the part of the statue that is the closest to you is the revelation. Revelation is the closest thing to us. And that's what the foot points to. So we kind of went from pigeon chair through Natarajasanas transition. See the instability in the standing foot? Can you see how much it's moving? The standing foot. To lunge, to dog, to Vashisthasana, to wild thing. You can parallel the feet or not. Paralleling the feet is in service to your lower back. So if you have low back, so if you're going to want to parallel the feet and hug the knees to the midline, hand to thigh, foot steps in, find the ankle or foot. Okay? Which is the same thing we did here. It's just not like in as deep a back bend. Okay? Let it be breathable. That's how you're in a practice of yoga. It's not about the forms. It's about the breathability. And to the extent to which the forms, folks, are simply metaphors for our lives. Every single pose, look at it as a metaphor, symbolic of your relationships, your work, all of it. And that like life is challenging. The poses challenge us in order to optimize our breathability so that when we're challenged in our lives, we can sustain connection to the breath, which is what turns us into the heart, so that when we're getting destabilized and pushed off center, we know how to stay in or reconnect back to the heart, the absolute, the divine. We get disconnected for the pure joy of reconnecting. That's the play of concealment and revelation. It's called like divine peekaboo. Downward dog. It's about breathability. It's about the ways in which the physical posture wants us to find and feel and recognize our limits, not in order to limit us, but to recognize our limits as divine. That these are the way the divine limits herself as us. So can we embrace our limits when we see them and breathe in the context of our limits? Our limits are our boundaries. Let's take the, I think the truth is left foot through to lunge, but I could be wrong. Okay, left foot through to lunge. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, step forward, linking breath and movement, cross ankle over thigh, pigeon chair. I just love this little like opening into the hips to access the legs here. So sit into whatever the point is where you access a connection to your hips. And then the right arm does the concealment thing. As you rise up, the right foot comes forward for the revelation, and then wrap it behind you, bind yourself to yourself, and hinge forward. and be in a place where you can receive the instability and the one thing that supports you. Twist your hips a little from right to left, right hip forward, left hip back, kick the foot back. We'll catch the lunge. Both feet on the ground for a big breath in. Exhale to plant the hands. Ooh, you hear that? Plant. Plant. Pivot your heels to the left. Open the right arm to the sky. Vashisthasana, the edge, the limit. Step the right foot back. Right hand to the heart. Then right hand to the thigh or hip. Option to parallel the feet. And then walk the right foot back or in. And with the right hand, reach for the right ankle, shin, or foot. And then downward dog. Is that the sound of fun, of delight, of torture? Lower the knees down, sit back on your heels. Any questions? Concerns? Conundrums? Okay, we're gonna do that sequence one more time on each side, like really linking breath now that it's been sort of transmitted through observation. If you want an alternative, any alternative, like you're free and empowered to any alternative, but here's a suggestion. Pad the knees as needed. Cat-cow, linking breath and movement. Option to extend the leg, whatever leg we have back, you extend that leg back. And now here's the key. The standing foot goes to the side, and you open up this way. Okay? And then leg long, arm long. Cat-cow as you like, or table puppy. I love table puppy. It's truly my fave, one of my faves. Here, here. Now the bottom knee's foot's got to go to the side like a kickstand as you bind yourself to yourself. Okay? So options. That one's really great for like low back stuff, prenatal. That was one of my favorite ones when I was pregnant. And just like in general. It's just like a little closer to the earth, a little more stable in the way in which the stability feeds the expansion. Downward dog. The breath ignites the heart. That's that moment of connection of Shiva and Shakti consolidating themselves into you so that they can expand themselves as you for the delight. The breath ignites the heart. The splendor of the heart illuminates, informs, inspires the mind and the body. Here in the gift of embodiment, we'll take right foot through to lunge. Inhale, reach up, follow your breath, not my voice. Exhale, step forward. Cross ankle over thigh, sit deep into chair pose. So we're not fighting the limits. We're not fighting instability. We're being receptive to and of limits and instability. The left arm comes across in a gesture of concealment. The standing leg straightens. The left foot comes forward to revelation. We wrap the foot and arm behind us for the dance. Hug the knee to the midline. Hinge halfway forward. All else is forgotten here and now. Extend the leg back. Feel both feet on the ground. Huge breath in. Exhale, plant the hands, downward facing dog. Pivot the heels to the left. Open the right arm to the sky. Step the right foot behind you. Glue the inner edge of the bottom hand down. Parallel the feet. Think right hand to heart. Touch the indwelling light. Right hand to thigh. Walk the right foot in. Think right hand to right ankle or foot or shin or calf. And then take it back out and around and through to downward dog. Breath to heart, heart to mind, mind to body. On an exhale, left foot through to lunge. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, step forward. Let it be breathable. Ankle over thigh, pigeon chair. Receive an opening. Receive the limits. Receive the instability. Right arm conceals. Right foot reveals. Right foot behind you, right hand to right foot. Baby dancer, hug it in, hinge forward. All else is forgotten. Big step back, both feet on the ground. Huge breath in. Exhale, plant the hands. Downward facing dog. Pivot the heels to the right. Open the left arm to the sky. Step the left foot behind you. Option to parallel the feet. Could also keep the right leg extended and walk the left foot back more. Left hand for left foot, ankle, or shin. Exhale for downward dog. Inhale for plank. Exhale through chaturanga or bypass. Inhale for cobra. Cobra dog, up dog if you feel ready. Exhale to downward dog. Walk your hands towards your feet. Walk your feet towards your hands. Heel toe your feet outer, hips distance apart. Turn your knees and toes out and squat in malasana. Arms inside the legs, press the arms out as you hug the legs in. Oh, there goes a ball. Tush to the floor. Stretch your legs out. Give them a little shake. Scoot your tushy towards your heels and come onto your back. I feel like I have to share this. This isn't a sales pitch, but if you know, you know. If you don't know, the chai at Shot Tower Coffee is really, really, really good in terms of the category of chai in America. Chai in America made by white people. I think this is as good as it can get. When I got back from India, I was mostly forlorn about the inaccess to good chai. It could be so gross, nasty. Oh yeah, yes. But that wasn't here back then. We've come a long way in 20 some odd years. Okay, we're not doing Shavasana yet. Promise. So 2 options here. One is a heart bench. Actually, more than 2 options. If you know and love your ball work on your upper back and that's what's needed and appropriate for you today, I'm going to set you loose on that. Another option, if you want to roll to the right, is to make a heart bench out of your 2 blocks. This is going to be like the first sort of suggestion in the vein of chill. Although like Shavasana is chill, so we're chilling, we're not chill yet. The shoulder blades are on top of the first block. So the block isn't under the shoulder blades. In other words, the block isn't south of the shoulder blades. The shoulder blades are on top of the block. And then your other block is underneath your head on its highest height. And here's the deal. Every few breaths, you want to see if it's breathable to lower the head block. Down at first to the same height as the heart block, and then down lower than the heart block. Arms down to the sides, palms up. Okay, it's called a heart bench. And it's like, you know, it's more chill than what we were doing before, but it's not meant to be completely chill, or else we would just put like a blanket there. Alternatively, we'll do an active bridge pose with an invitation towards Urdhva Dhanurasana. If you're cooked, again, like it's not an obligation, it's an invitation. And I'm really only doing it because I forgot that I promised a student yesterday that I would teach this on camera today, and I almost forgot. So begin your access to rest in a heart bench or by rolling your upper back. And then if you want to do the active form with me, we're going to lay on our backs. Knees bent, feet on the floor. We're going to take a block between the thighs, the lower thighs, closer to the knees. And hold the block more with the fronts of the thighs, the fronts of the inseams. Press the center back of the skull down. And bend your elbows along either side of your waist. Elbows outside the waist. Palms to the midline, fingers to the sky. And as you press the elbows down, lift the chest up and carve the shoulder blades together into the upper back. So the shoulders are square in line with the base of the neck. The shoulder blades are engaged to each other on the upper back like Anjali Mudra, behind you, under you. And as you press the elbows down and the center back of the skull down and hug the block, you can feel that the whole spine's already in a back bend. Keeping that, stand through the feet just to lift the hips up. Setu Bandhasana, bridge pose. And as you inhale, hug the block. And as you exhale, press the feet down and forward to feel the pose expand from inside out. You can stay here, or here's the critical thing. Nothing changes in the shoulders. We're just bringing the fingertips to the floor outside the ears as wide as the head. As best you can in that transition, try not to let anything change in the shoulders. And by the way, the heels of the hands are not coming down here. We're bringing the form of the hands towards a Urdhva D hand, fingertips towards the heels, but the heels of the hands themselves are lifting. Armpits are in, press the head down, hug the block, big breath in. As you exhale, push through your legs, push through your hands to come up into Urdhva Dhanurasana. And as you inhale, hug the block. And as you exhale, push the feet down and forward. If you want more big if, lift the heels up and walk your feet in towards your tush. Lower your tush towards your heels. And then send your tailbone towards the sky between your knees as you push the balls of the feet down and forward and anchor through the heels. On the exhale, if you've walked it in, walk it out. And lower all the way back down to the ground. If you're on a heart bench, slowly press your palms into the earth to lift yourself up. Put the blocks to the side and come onto your back. If you're using your massage balls, take your time. Finish it up at your own pace, and we'll meet all together on our backs with the knees bent, feet as wide as the mat, knees together at the midline. Let both knees fall gently to the right. Option to place the right foot on top of the left thigh. Option to press the foot down and the thigh up. And really focus on the breath flowing in and out through the left side, through the left nostril, the left side body. Let the breath expand and deepen the light of awareness through your entire left hemisphere, within you and beyond you. Right foot to the ground if it's not already. Inhale the legs through center, and on the exhale, both knees to the left. Can be here. Palms can rest on your body. Arms can be down to the sides or out to the sides. Palms up. Option to place left foot on top of right thigh. Belly breathing through the nose. Option as you press the foot down to press the bottom leg up into the foot. And let the breath deepen the light of awareness through the entire right hemisphere. Both deep within and far beyond. We are both the divine and the reflection of the divine. Commingled. Inhale the legs through center. Cross the right ankle over the left thigh, bend the left knee in. Option to thread the right arm between the legs and interlace your hands behind your left thigh for Sukhi Randrasana, the bound version. As you flex the feet and spread the toes, press your right knee away from you, and you can take your arms overhead for the supported sort of pigeon chair on your back. Does that make sense? And the tendency is to sort of pull the legs in towards the chest. Can you back it up? Think left knee over left thigh, pubic bone towards the floor. Flex both feet, and as the left knee pushes in, press the right knee away. On an exhale, I'll bring the left foot to the floor. Release the arms down to the sides or out to the sides. Cross the right thigh over the left thigh, thigh to thigh. Hips to the right, knees to the left. Supine twist. And here in the twist, 3 or 4 of the deepest, fullest breaths that require the least amount of effort. Receive the unconditional support of gravity. Be heavy in the lap of the earth. Receive the unconditional presence of the breath. Deep and full with the inhale. Full and complete with the exhale. Allow yourself to linger in the state of fullness at the top of the inhale before the exhale. And can you delight in the emptiness at the bottom of the exhale before the inhale? On an inhale, legs through center, uncross. Shift the hips to neutral. Feel the difference from side to side. Then we'll take the left ankle over the right thigh. Bend the right leg in. Option to thread the left arm between the legs and interlace your hands behind your right thigh for Sukhi Randrasana, eye of the needle. Bind yourself to yourself. Or release the grip. Reach the arms overhead. Flex the feet, back the right knee up. So the right knee goes over the right hip rather than towards the chest. And then right there, push the right knee into the left shin and press the left knee away. Think pubic bone towards the floor, ribs towards the floor, head into the floor, shoulder blades to the floor. Foot to the floor, and cross the thigh over the thigh, deeper cross. Release the arms down to the sides or out to the sides as we prep for the twist. Hips to the left, knees fall to the right. Belly breaths, deep and full. In and out through the nose. The breath feeds the heart feeds the mind feeds the body, and here in the gift of embodiment resides the power to create, to sustain, to transform. To conceal, to reveal, and back again. Inhale the legs through center, uncross, shift the hips to neutral. We're going to stretch the legs out long, reach the arms overhead. Huge breath in, slow breath out. Knees come in towards the chest at the bottom of the exhale. And either wrap your arms around the legs or thread the arms between the legs, either for wind relieving pose, like hugging your knees in towards your chest, or happy baby pose, holding the outer ankles or shins, or edges of the feet for happy baby. That which is appropriate for you in the style of you. And now scan the body with your awareness to see if there's any final poses, movements, or adjustments that you need or want to make in order to feel completely prepared to fully relax. Spread yourself out on the altar of the earth for Shavasana, the corpse pose. Which is the perfect complement to dancer pose. Allow this final posture to be a gesture of wholehearted offering. But just as the breath offers itself to us unconditionally, truly a gift, we take this time to offer ourselves to the breath. All the self-perceived limitations soften into the lap of the earth. And the breath flows in you, as you, through you, more deeply, more fully, more freely, as the result of the effort. No more effort is needed or required. With each consecutive exhalation, release any last remaining bits of tension, whether it's conscious, subconscious, or unconscious. Permission to release the holding patterns and allow yourself to be held. Allow us to be held together. Invite a deeper breath in and a longer breath out. With the eyes still closed, a steady gaze inward as you deepen your breath. Feel how naturally the breath deepens you. The gift of embodiment is the playground of consciousness. Everything that happens here is divine play. Imagine that. The breath ignites the heart. The splendor of the heart informs, illuminates, and inspires the faculty of the mind and the agency of the body. Here in the gift of embodiment and the gift of conscious embodiment, let the spirit that you are awaken the body that you have in the ways that feel good. And let the body that you have adorn and embrace the spirit that you are. Wrap yourself around yourself. And when you're ready, when you feel ready, bend your legs and feel both feet on the ground. And take a moment to call yourself down to earth, back to reality. A moment to visualize the ways in which you stretch your practice of yoga into the activities of your daily life. Imagine that. And when you're ready, we'll roll to one side, press through the arms, and find our way into a comfortable seated posture. The eyes closed and the hands folded before the heart in Anjali Mudra. It's the sound of the Bluetooth if you're new here. Om Namah Shivaya, salutations to the Lord Shiva, always present, intrinsically peaceful, utterly powerful, and luminous, never further than the heart, which is never further than the breath. Let's seal in our time together by invoking blessings for ourselves and each other, and together let's send the voices of our hearts out into the world to wherever you know and we know it is the most needed. We'll join our voices together in the sound of one Om. Deep breath in. As you bow to your heart, with all my heart I bow to the indwelling light in every one of you. Thank you all so much for your practice today, for your presence, and thank you all so much for all that you are and all that you do every day of your life. Thank you all so much.